Hello boys and girls. So over the last few weeks we've been learning about Joseph, and tonight we're going to learn a little bit more. So we're going to just look back. We remember that Joseph had 11 brothers and they kind of hated him. They hated him so much that they sold him into slavery. He was put in jail and he pretty much didn't have a very good time. But we have learned that things did start to get better for Joseph. So after being put in jail, Joseph told about the future of Egypt by interpreting Pharaoh's dreams. And Joseph found favour with Pharaoh. The Pharaoh made Joseph a leader in his kingdom. Just as Joseph had said by interpreting the dreams, Egypt had 7 years of abundance. But after that 7 years of abundance came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. The Egyptians had food to eat because Joseph had planned for the famine. There was famine in all the other lands, and many came to Joseph for food. There was even a famine in the land that Joseph had come from. So when Joseph's father heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent his sons to buy some. But he didn't send his youngest son Benjamin with the others because he was afraid that harm might come to him. When Joseph's brothers came to him, Joseph recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger. So Joseph decided to test his brothers. He had his interpreter to tell them to send for Benjamin, who had stayed at home. And then he threw his brothers in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph let all but one of them go and take grain to their starving households, with the instruction to return with Benjamin. But Joseph provided for his brothers' journey, and he gave them grain and silver. The brothers did exactly as Joseph instructed. They were scared that God was punishing them for what they had done to Joseph so many years before. They travelled home to their father's house, then back to Egypt with Benjamin. Now that he had seen that they had brought Benjamin, Joseph was overwhelmed. He released the brother who was still in prison. But Joseph decided to play one more trick on his brothers. He sent the brothers away, but told his servant to hide his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. Then Joseph told his servant to go after the brothers and retrieve the cup. The brothers hadn't travelled far before the servant stopped them and accused them of stealing the cup. Joseph could no longer control himself before his staff. He made them leave so he could be alone with his brothers. And he told his brothers who he really was. He told them of his life and all he had experienced, and he forgave them for what they had done to him. God was with Joseph and took care of him and showed him favour. And because of this, Joseph was able to forgive his brothers. Now, boys and girls, I've had a little bit of a think about this. Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, and he ended up being in prison. He had had a really, really tough time. Now, I know a lot of us have brothers and sisters. Now, can you just imagine for a second that they would do something to you where you would end up being in prison and you hadn't done anything wrong? I'm guessing that it would be just a tiny little bit hard to forgive for that. But Joseph did, because he was able to see that God was with him, and really that because of everything that had happened to him, he had found favour with God, and ultimately he was able to forgive his brothers for what they had done. Now, I think that's absolutely amazing, and I know most of us will probably never have to face a situation like that, but even in all of the tiny little things that we face every day, the important message is, if Joseph could forgive his brothers, there's nothing that can be done towards us that we can't forgive.
La, la, la. city on a hill. We are light in the darkness. Jesus living in us can change the world. Let your light shine, let your light shine, let your light shine. Let it shine. Let your light shine, let your light shine, let your light shine. If God is for us, who can stand against us? Let your light shine, let your light shine, let your light shine. Let it shine. If God is for us, who can stand against us? Let your light shine, let your light shine, let your light shine. I will shine for you, burning bright with your light forever. I will shine for you, burning bright with your light.
Hi boys and girls, so this is our craft tonight, boys and girls, and as you can see it's more a visual craft. So it's a big sack and it's going to be filled with grain. Now I put lentils in mine, but you can use whatever you have in the house, or if you don't want to use actual food, you could just draw all your grains of rice or kind of wheat and stuff like that in it. And then we've got yellow card, and we're going to cut out a goblet to represent the goblet that Joseph hid in the bag. Okay, so I'm going to flip these down and we'll make a wee start. Okay, boys and girls, so I am hopefully going to try and attach the template for this sack. And what you're going to have to do then is you are going to get a piece of brown card. And once you've cut it, you've got this printed off, then you are going to cut it out and we're going to draw around it onto our brown card. Now what you have to remember is, obviously this is the opening of the sack, so we need to keep this part up here because we need to have a piece of card that is going to hold all our nice well, like I said, I've used lentils, but we need that piece up at the top there so what it looks like, so that we'll have something to attach all our foodie bits to. So I'm going to use this now, and I'm going to get a marker, and I'm just going to do a wee bit of shading to make it look more like a sack. Okay, so just do that down the sides a wee bit there. Okay, and a wee, so I'm just copying this. Okay, so a wee bit up here, and bring that around there like that. It just makes it look a wee bit more realistic. Okay. I'm not very artistic, so I'm sure your ones will be absolutely amazing. But unfortunately, I'm not very arty. So just kind of copy this piece here, and you can't, I don't think you can really go wrong then. It's just to make it look that it is got a bit of shape to it, and it's actually bulging with green like they were in the story. Okay. I'm just going to draw around my whole outline now with this. Okay, now you are going to need some glue for this. I would use PVA because it means if it makes a bit of a mess, it's easy to clean up. Okay. Okay, so next step for this is now to cut it all out. Just be careful with your scissors. You might need to ask a grown-up to help. Okay. I'm just going to move this original out of the way now. Okay, so that is our sack. So now I'm going to get a piece of yellow card, and I've already had a wee go. Now this one didn't turn out so well, so I've had a wee go at drawing a goblet. It is entirely up to you what shape. You might just want to do it more like a tumbler shape, so you'd be doing like a oval up here, and then just kind of bringing it down. So you could do it like a tumbler, like that. Then if you wanted to put a wee foot on it, a wee base on it like that. So this has to, you need to make it small enough that it's going to be able to tuck down inside this sack. So once you're happy with the one that you've drawn, and again, once you've drawn it, you can decorate it. You can put some nice jewels onto it, because I'm sure whenever you were living the way Joseph was at this part of the story, everything was really lavish. And it maybe had like nice precious stones on it and things like that. So you can decorate it. I'm just doing mine plain, because I'm sure you don't want to watch me decorating a cup on camera. So I would love to see what way you decorate yours, if that's what you're going to do with yours. Okay, that is my cup, and that is my sack. So next thing we're going to have to do is we are now going to have to get whatever grains that you're going to use. So as I say, I'm using lentils, and I'm going to get my PVA glue. Okay, now I need to be very careful with mine, because I tried to do this whenever I was making the sample. The glue went everywhere, so I need to be very careful whenever I'm doing this. Again, just check with your grown-up before you start doing it that you're allowed to do it, especially if you're going to be using foodie things out of the cupboard. So I'm just going to put some down here like that. Okay, and then I've got a paintbrush. But again, if you're using a paintbrush, make sure you clean it afterwards, because you don't want to leave it and the bristles go all hard. I'm just going up to these lines. Okay, like that. Okay, so I'm just setting my brush over here, so it's not touching anything or making anything else sticky. And then I'm going to sprinkle my lentils on. Okay, just push them over. And I have got a scrap piece of paper here, and I'm going to tip them onto it. And it means then I can reuse them without having to put them back in the jar. And I'm just going to press that into it like that. You can't really put them back into the jar once they've been touching glue. I'm sure your mummy's not going to be wanting sticky lentils for dinner. Okay, now what we're going to do then is we're going to set this in on top of that. Okay, so I'm going to get my glue and put that on there like that. And then I'm going to put another layer of glue over all of these. So you just want to hide it just so that you can just see the top of it. And then a wee bit of glue like that. Okay, now this is a real messy project, and your parents or your grown-ups are going to probably not like me very much for this one, but it's a very good visual reminder of the story that you've heard tonight. I'm going to turn that up like that again and push that like that, and then hopefully all those lentils will stick to this. So look, it just looks like now the cup is sitting tucked into the bag. Can you imagine how scared those brothers were whenever they realized that that cup was in that bag of grain? So if you see any gaps, just fill them in. Okay, and then whenever you think that it's nearly ready and nearly dry, you can just tip off the excess, put them in your food caddy or something. I definitely wouldn't be tipping them back into the same jar. Okay, boys and girls, so that is tonight's craft all finished. A nice little quick one for you, and a quick one for your grown-ups that are helping you at the moment. Use your sack. It is quite a big piece, so you could write out the memory verses that you've learned so far on it, and it can just be a visual reminder of the stories and the memory verses that you've learned so far relating to Joseph. I hope you really enjoy it. Remember to send in photographs, and remember to keep an eye out for all your friends who've already sent their photographs in. That comes up in the videos. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.